Hi, I'm Terry Luc, Director of Communications at OLPH in Glenview, and we're speaking again today with our pastor, Father Jeremiah Boland. Now, the focus of today's chat will be on the annual report and stewardship, so we're so happy again to have Lynn Januszewski, our Director of Finance, with us. Thanks for coming again. You're going to be a regular on these shows. Father Jerry, talk a little bit to us about the annual report and what it means.
Thank you, Terry, and great to be with you, Mary Lynn. Every year, we publish the annual report after we have reviewed the financials of the previous fiscal year. It's very important that we are transparent to our faith community. We deal with a lot of resources here, and it's important for you to know what the state of the financial health of the parish is. And not only that, but to know what we accomplished through your generous stewardship of this parish. Each year, you receive a copy of the annual report. It's got numbers and graphs and bars and pie charts and all that, but it also tells the story of the remarkable things that we are able to do because of you. I use this time of the annual report to invite us to think again every year about stewardship. We have the planned offertory program, in which year we ask our parishioners to think about how can I make available to the Lord the gifts of time, talent, and treasure. The most precious gift that we can give the Lord is time. Time is the most precious commodity we have. And as we look at this year coming to a close and begin to look at 2021, what can I do with the gift of time so that my relationship with Our Lady Perpetual Help deepens? What kind of ministries might I consider? What are some of the ministries I want to support spiritually, financially? How can I be a vehicle, a vessel of God's graces and blessings? Every single person that's watching this fireside chat has talents. And this parish has thrived because of the generosity of so many to give of their talents. Look at what leadership we have, whether it's on the parish council or the finance council or the school board. Look at our ministries that are led by such generous and committed parishioners. Even in the midst of this pandemic, hundreds of people are benefiting, thousands, by the ministry of Our Lady Perpetual Help Parish. And so as we gather for this annual conversation, usually I would be doing this at Mass, but given the circumstances, I want as many people to hear what you are about to hear. And we're so grateful to have Mary Lynn join us as our Chief Finance Officer and Director of Operations. She came in, it's not the easiest time to be taking over the financial operation of a parish, but she has very quickly assimilated into the life of our faith community, getting a sense of our financial health and helping us, particularly our finance council, begin to look at the future as we try to keep the mission of the parish as vital as possible during these challenging times. Mary Lynn, what can you tell us about the annual report?
Okay, well, thank you, Father, for having me here today, and hello, OLPH, once again. I know everybody is always interested in what the numbers are. The numbers do tell a story, but I'd first like to say that this parish annual report is an amazing publication. Obviously, it's my first connection to it, but it is what I utilized in helping myself come to the decision of coming here. In doing that, I read everything that was in that report from the prior year, and I came away from it with the understanding that this was an amazing place to be, and it was a place I wanted to be. You could see the generosity not only from time, from talent, but also from treasure. And I guess that's where the numbers fall, and that's in the treasure section. So we will begin with that. And I'm here to tell you what we did last year in a very simple way, because I probably don't know everything behind those numbers. The parish annual report will break it down into various sections. There'll be the school, there'll be the church, and there'll be religious ed, and Sister Paul Ann's Needy Family Fund. Today I'm going to speak to the gross numbers, which pull that all together. The FY20 bottom line that we see is a $53,000 surplus, and that includes contributions from your generosity, Sunday collections, which include both Sundays and holy days, Christmas and Easter, of $3.2 million. That's an amazing number. It's up from the FY19 numbers by about 7% as an estimate. And out of that $3.2 million, we take 6% of that total, and it is put aside for our First Fruits program, and that number for this past year is $171,000. Again, an amazing number that we can then turn around and help our sharing parishes and other archdiocesan collections with. And that's what we're about. That's part of what our mission is, to be out into the broader area of the church in Chicago and in the entire country and the world. We're doing a very good job doing that from my whole perspective here thus far. So next, the annual report and the finances of the parish include operations, and it also include an area for capital expenditures. The operations had a parish operations surplus of $386,000, which included Sister Pauline's Needy Family Fund, positive number of $291,000 in that number that will be useful for next year and this year as we move forward for their concerns and their needs. The school ended the year with a $266,000 surplus. Again, that includes a $981,000 subsidy provided by the parish. The school's budget is about $7 million or so it's a big nut to crack, but it still worked positively towards the end of the year. So that's the operations side. On the non-operation side, you have your capital expenditures. Your capital expenditures for the year were $1,047,000, which were funded through contributions of $400,000 for this particular year, but also with the money generated from that we got back from To Teach Who Christ Is from the prior year, where we had a bottom line surplus in the end of last year, 2 years ago, of over $600,000. So the cash that we received in FY19 was used to fund the excess expenditures we had for all the projects that were included in last year's budget. So in the end, all of these numbers together bring us to a $53,000 surplus for the bottom line for the whole parish, which in the craziest of years could have been an awful lot worse than that. Again, it shows the generosity of the parish and the commitment by the parish to continue to move forward and to continue to reach out beyond themselves and their own little world. So we thank you for that, and we're very, very hopeful that we will continue to move along in the same direction in this current year, where we will have many other expenses. Hopefully the PPP money will help fend off some of that. PPP money is not included in last year's numbers. It's still sitting in our liability account. That $1.4 million will be spent over the course of this year. And help us out. There were a small amount of COVID expenses in last year. The school, I believe, spent most of their funds that they needed to step up to purchase things for COVID and health and safety reasons in this new fiscal year. But the parish had technology expenses relating to live streaming and all the different ways of communicating to the parish when we couldn't be in church doing various activities as we normally would do. And that was about $35,000 that went to that bottom line.
And just to clarify, for the school, since the fiscal year ends before the school year started, like you said, everything that the schools had to invest in will be in next year's report.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's absolutely true. So we have we will continue to monitor everything that we need to monitor, because we can't just sit back and say, hey, things have been good, we ended the year well. We will be careful with expenditures, and we will still hope that you will continue to be generous in your giving to the parish and to even the world beyond that relates to our parish. We will continue to be as transparent as possible in everything that we report, and we just hope we can take the blessings we've received and continue to move forward in a very good way for the good of the parish and the good of the church and the good of all people.
Thank you very much, Mary Lynn, and as she said, really, it is a blessing.
Yeah, we're just in unprecedented times. We closed down on March 13th. And, we didn't start really at a very slow process of reopening, didn't take place to summertime. And I can't thank you enough for the efforts you've all undertaken to continue to support the parish. Many of you weren't initially that interested in Give Central and have signed up for Give Central because that allows regular predictable income, which is just vital for us trying to maintain our budgets. As we begin this new fiscal year, we begin, still pretty much closed down. And we probably are going to be fairly closed down for a long time, just the reality of the pandemic. So things like thinking about stewardship, you're going to be getting a mailing on the planned offertory program. That helps us gauge our income for the coming fiscal year as we reflect on the commitment people are willing to make for their support financially of Our Lady Perpetual Help Parish for the coming year. So when you get that letter, please pray about it, think about it, talk about it at home, to look at the ways I can take my treasure, my talent, my time, and make the most of the coming year. We're going to do the best we can. We're going to get through this challenging time as a church. We're going to weather the storm. We've weathered the storm over the last several months. I have no doubt we're going to face the challenges that lie ahead and continue to build on the great tradition that is Our Lady Perpetual Help Parish.
Well, now we want to talk with some of our parishioners to really talk about personally time, treasure, and talent and how they've contributed to the parish.
Yes, every year we have witnesses of parishioners that speak to how in their life do they come to the decisions that they do when it comes to their stewardship of their time, talent, and treasure. I can talk about it very easily, but I don't have a mortgage, I don't have kids in college, I don't have many of the financial challenges that all of you have to deal with every day. And it really is helpful when we can hear a fellow parishioner speak about how he or she has come to their own discernment of how they can be faithful stewards.
This is such, as I said earlier, a center of our lives from a faith perspective, and we've been so fortunate to have great pastors during our time, present company included. So as a result, it's just always been a place that we found comfort on our faith journey and guidance on our faith journey. So, as I've said earlier, this is a very integral part of my wife's, Katie, and my life, and our children. My daughter was married here, father married him about 2 years ago. So, our lives, in a great degree, revolve around OLPH. And it wasn't really a question for us financially to contribute because we wanted to have skin in the game. And I know that people did it before we were here. And so I felt that it's important to carry on that legacy for those that did before we came, to provide such a great environment for us. We have to do the same so we can provide for the future and raise more Catholics. So it really wasn't a very hard decision to make OLPH at the very near top of our priority list when it comes to contributing either financially, time-wise, or talent-wise.
Like many people, I guess, I just look at it as a pie chart. Sometimes I think, based on life's challenges and demands, you might give more money, more time, more of your talents. Sometimes, it's not equal portions, but I just try to, keep it in check and make sure I'm contributing to the whole. And if one is deficient, I try to make it up in another area. So
both my mom and dad were always very, very involved in parish life. My mom's a pianist and a singer, I guess, so she was always cantering and in the choir and that sort of thing. Working bingo every Friday night back when parishes had that. So when I came here, it's interesting to me. I've been reflecting on this question, and I guess that the various periods in my life and in what was going on in my life at the time somewhat informed what my ministry was in the parish at that given time. So when I first came here, like I said, I wanted to find a way to make such a big place smaller, so I joined a guild. And that was the best thing I ever did. Some of my best friends in this parish to this day are from Guild 31. We support each other. We reach out to each other when we need prayers for a family member, reach out in terms of social life and service and faith. And those are just really, really special women to me. And then as my kids grew and became school age, of course, I registered them in the religious ed program and was so impressed by that program. And so I thought, this is something I want to get involved in. So I did my little parts along the way, whether I was a hall monitor or a substitute catechist, or I love all the service projects that they get the kids involved in. So I was always making sure to, take my kids to the store to pick out those groceries or pick out the hat and mittens that the people on the streets might need, or, teaching them service along with the catechists. And then, gosh, I guess the next step for me was when I learned about the CHIRP program, and I went through that retreat with other women of the parish, and that was absolutely life-changing for me. Loved it, got really involved with the next few formation teams, and then wanted to be able to ensure that our parish could bring CHIRP to more men and women, so I went on the CHIRP continuation team board for a couple years. And gosh, I'm still in a Bible study group every month with women that were on my first formation team. We were so close that we wanted to, keep that connection going. And most recently, now that I'm a brand new empty nester, my youngest is a freshman in college, I've been asking myself, well, what's my next step in the parish and at OLPH? And I think it's going to be the sharing ministry. I've really become interested in that. I was really pulled by the message that, we've had this wonderful sharing ministry for, I believe, 40 or 50 years now, but the same people that started it are still working so hard to keep it going, and they're not going to be around forever. So I think they're kind of looking for the next generation of people that can take that leadership role. And I thought, well, I can be one of those people, So I reached out to Betty Collins and Bill Lynch, and they've been so welcoming to me, and Lenore Pittenger is another one. And I'm just now at the point where I'm exploring, once the pandemic is over, what can I do to help more with some of these sharing efforts.
Father Jerry, this is really kind of amazing hearing everyone's personal story.
Well, you've just heard 3 reflections as to why I have the best job in the world. When you listen to the impact this parish has had on the lives of the 3 folks that shared their stories, it's the best case statement anybody could make for why this parish is blessed, why it has been abundantly blessed by our Lord. And even though we're in this very challenging time, you can't help but feel Amy's faith, John's faith, Maureen's faith, and the influence this parish has had on not only on them but their families. And this is just, the tiniest tip of the iceberg of the influence that we have had. The reason we're doing this is we now look to the future, to this upcoming new year, and with the faith and commitment and the stewardship of our faith community, we're going to face whatever lies ahead. And we're going to thrive, as we have in the past. OLPH was founded in 1919 in the throes of the Spanish flu epidemic. And most people thought that was probably not the best year to be opening a parish. And look what has happened. This thriving, vital faith community. And as we move forward with your support, with the time, talent, and treasure of this faith community, the best days are ahead. Thanks so much for all the support that you continue to give this parish. To all of you, let us keep praying for one another. We're going to find new and creative ways to keep the mission going during this pandemic period. And we just pray for that day when we'll be able to move beyond COVID-19. Thanks again for everything.